Come on. And we are live. Hello everyone. Why is my microphone closed? Hello everyone. Persephone Crestomancy here. Let me just get I am live streaming now. Post and hello everyone. Persephone Alright, just trying to make sure everything's working proper. But yes, sorry, some technical difficulties, but hello, welcome. You can hear me, right? I think you hear me? Okay. Welcome, not the doctor, but you can hear me, right? Because it's I don't have any little green dots on my thing, so you can hear me, right? Just give me another confirmation because I want to make sure that we aren't having any. Okay, yes, good. Okay, that was a relief. I thought something was going wrong, but yes. Hello, everyone. Persephone Crestomancy here, and welcome back to the Storyteller's Corner, episode 27, and happy February to everyone. I think it's safe to say that February has become quite popular and is prevalent for two big reasons. One being February 2nd, which is Groundhog Day, which is when we learn whether we're getting an early spring or 6 more weeks of winter. And then, of course, February 14th is Valentine's Day, the time for romance, where chocolates and rose sales go up extremely high, and you see couples together getting all lovey-dovey, which is very sweet. But if you think about it, there's more than one way. There's more than one type of love. The Greeks had several words for love. For example, you have eros, which is the intimate and often sexual love between couples and partners. Then you have philia, which is the love between friends, like the deep brotherly love of friends. An example of this would be the love that is displayed in The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. That is one good example for that type of love. And then, of course, there's agape, which is the deep, selfless love. Love is often associated with family. An example of agape, I can think of quite a few, but two that I can think about most would be Mufasa from The Lion King and Mrs. Jumbo from Dumbo. As Mufasa sacrificed himself to save his son from the wildebeest stampede, and of course, Mrs. Jumbo protected her kid Dumbo from the bullies that were picking on him because of his large ears, and she ended up getting put in essentially jail for that. So those are three of the big words for love that come to us from Greek mythology. Now, why am I bringing up romance? Well, I thought since it is February, the time for love and romance, that I would read some fairy tales associated with romance, more or less. As there is one that is quite, well, I'm not going to spoil it for you guys, but yes, romance in fairy tales is nothing new. And it's everywhere. You have Cinderella finding her true love, the prince, when he finally finds the glass slipper that fits her. You have Rapunzel and her prince. You have the romantic tragedy that is The Little Mermaid and the story with her prince. But the thing with romance and fairy tales is that it's vastly different from the modern concept that we have of love and romance today. Now, there's a YouTuber I really enjoy called A Bit Frank, and she dives into the grim and the dark and the often bloody backgrounds of certain fairy tales. And she has a YouTube video. It used to be titled something else, but now it's been retitled. It's called The Cursed Origins of True Love's Kiss and Fairy Tales. And that's the thing. True Love's Kiss is a major component in the more modern fairy tales now. And while it is associated with some fairy tales, the concept of the True Love's Kiss in original fairy tales is fairly different. As I said before, there are a few fairy tales that are associated with the True Love's Kiss, but there are some fairy tales that are darker and bloodier and often require more than just a simple kiss for the characters to get their happily ever after. There are several fairy tales of that nature, and I could read all of them, but for February, I will stick to 3 special fairy tales, and this one being one of them. Now, there is a saying called "Beauty is skin deep," and I often agree with that statement. You can be extremely pretty, but if you are, there go my speakers. Yep, there they go. It would not be a Persephone live stream if something wasn't going wrong. But yes, as I said before, beauty is only skin deep, and it's the insides of a person that matter. And as I like to describe it, a good looks and beauty are like icing on the cake. Now, the story I'm going to be reading to you guys is another classic, and as I've showed it before, it's coming from the Book of Fairytales. Remember this? I read Ole Le Coy from this book last week, I think. I'm not sure though. But yes, I'm going to be reading the story of the Frog Prince. Now, the Frog Prince is another classic story, and one that Disney has turned into an animated movie. A beautifully done animated movie. But we're going to be focusing on the original Grimm's story. Okay. Now, the story of the Frog Prince is what some would consider to be an animal bridegroom story. Now, an animal bride or an animal bridegroom, as I mentioned on this show before, is the story of an animal. Sometimes it's an ugly animal, like a frog or a pig or a dog or something like that. Or it's a beautiful animal, like a swan, a cat, a seal, or something of the like, and the animal in question takes off their animal skin to reveal a beautiful young woman or a handsome young man underneath. So the Frog Prince could be associated with the animal bride / animal bridegroom trope, but it is also associated with the cursed character trope, much like Beauty and the Beast, which involves a cursed character, meaning specifically the beast being cursed to look like, well, a beast. And trying to find the story of not the Sandman. Oh my goodness, I'm terribly sorry, but yeah, romance is quite prevalent in fairy tales, though it's a lot different than the modern interpretation, and it's often bloodier. But I mean, considering the episodes that I've had on this show, the blood is to be expected. To quote Adam Gidwitz, "In the darkest zones, one finds the brightest beauty, the most luminous wisdom, and the most blood." So, yeah. After this song, I promise I'll get to read. But if you have any questions or comments, don't be shy. I'd love to hear them before I get to the actual reading of the story. I love having these conversations with you guys, so don't be shy. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking it's like, hey, Persephone, are you going to have a Valentine's Day special reading? And to that I say, probably not. But if I get my stuff organized and I design the character ahead of time, I might be able to do a Valentine's Day special. So I'll just have to get around to creating it. But yes, so you have the Disney version of the story of the Frog Prince, but here is another version. As soon as I can just find it. Bear with me. Oh, screw it. Okay, so listen to that one. I'm trying to find it. Like, I know it's here. Ah, the beast. Boots in the mud. Okay, so there's only one thing left to do. Ah, it was page 52 all along. I'm terribly sorry. Page 52. Woo! This story. Oh my goodness. I may have to read this story to you guys. It's got lots of cats in it, so you know me, I love my cats. In fact, I got 2 of them on my bed right now. They're both sleeping, but we got Brillo, very fluffy cat, and then we have on the other side of my bed, October, both sleeping. Oh, whoops, wrong button. Okay, but yes. Okay. Definitely inside. Alright. Found the story, guys. Sorry that took so long, but yeah. Oh my goodness. You're dreaming, let me check. Also, I apologize for the stuffy nose. It's been really cold, and also I've been sneezing quite a bit, so yeah. Alrighty. Now that I finally found the story, this is the story of the Frog Prince by an adaptation by the Brothers Grimm, and once again, I will show the pictures because the illustrations in here are gorgeous. All right. The Frog Prince. In the olden days, there lived a king whose daughters were all beautiful, but the youngest of them was even lovelier than the others. Near the castle of this king was a large and gloomy forest, and in the middle of the forest grew a very old tree, beneath whose branches splashed a little fountain. Whenever the days were warm, the youngest princess went into the forest and sat down by the side of the fountain. Her favorite plaything was a golden ball, and she would throw it high into the air and catch it as it came down again. One sunny day, the princess rested by the fountain as usual and tossed the golden ball into the air, but this time she did not catch it, and it rolled into the water. The well beneath the fountain was very deep, and the ball disappeared from sight and seemed gone forever. The princess began to cry, and as she wept, a voice called out to her. "Why are you crying, dear princess?" it asked. The princess looked everywhere to find who was speaking to her, and at last she saw it was a big frog sitting on the side of the fountain. The princess was very surprised to hear a frog speak, and she replied at once, "I did not catch my beautiful golden ball, and it fell into the water," she said. "Do not cry," said the frog. "If I will help you if I can. What will you give me if I bring the golden ball back to you?" "What would you like, dear frog?" said the princess. "My dresses, my pearls and jewels, or my golden crown?" Here's the illustration. You got the willow tree, the frog in the fountain. Frog right there. But yeah. I really love the illustrations of this book. "I cannot wear any of those things, little princess," croaked the frog. "I would like you to take care of me and be my friend. I would like to eat from your plate and sleep in your bed. If you will promise me these things, I will dive into the water and bring up your golden ball." "I will promise anything you ask if you will only find the golden ball," cried the princess. The frog disappeared under the water. The princess felt a little uneasy as she thought about her promise, but she did not think that she would have to carry it out. Then the frog appeared again, and this time he had in his large mouth the princess's golden ball. "Thank you very much, dear frog," she cried, and she took it from him and began to run back to the castle. "Wait for me! I cannot run as fast as you can," cried the frog. "Remember your promise!" But the louder he croaked, the faster ran the ungrateful princess. The next day, the king and his daughters were sitting at the table enjoying their lunch when they heard a strange sound. Flip, flop, splashity it went, all the way up the marble stairs and ending outside the door or of the banqueting hall. There came a knock at the door, and a croaking voice was heard. "Let me in!" it cried. "Open the door, youngest daughter of the king, and let me in!" The little princess went and opened the door, and when she saw who was sitting outside, she closed it quickly and went and sat down again, looking very pale. "What is the matter?" asked the king. "You look as if a giant has come to carry you away." "It is not a giant," wailed the princess. "It is a great, ugly old frog." "What can a frog be doing here?" asked the king in surprise. "It is my own fault," said the princess tearfully. "He fetched my golden ball from the bottom of the fountain, but first made me promise to let him come here and be my friend." "He sounds a very unusual kind of frog," said the king. "But if you made a promise, you must keep it. Let the frog in." The frog hopped up to the princess's chair. "Let me sit on your chair, princess," he croaked. The princess had to lift him up and put him beside her on the chair, and from there he jumped onto the table. "Now push your plate towards me so that we can share the same food," he croaked. And here you got the frog at the door, reaching for the knocker. He jumped really high, I'll give him that. And then you got the princess and the frog at the table, dabbing his mouth with a napkin, and her belt. That belt is so wide. Like, it's really cool looking. I love the design for all the illustrations, but oh my goodness, it's like that belt. Wow. It's huge. Actually gives me some ideas. The princess did so, and the frog made a good meal. "I have had enough to eat," said the frog. "Now I am tired and ready to go to sleep on your little bed." The princess burst into tears. She did not want a cold, muddy frog in her bed, but the king was angry. "The frog helped you when you needed him," he said. "You must not despise him now." So the princess had to carry the frog up to her room, but she laid him in a corner of the room. He soon jumped away from there. "I want to sleep in your comfortable bed, or I will tell your father," he croaked unkindly. At that, the princess was so cross that she picked up the poor frog and threw him across the room. "Be quiet, you ugly old frog!" she cried. But as he fell, the poor frog changed into a handsome young prince, and with a face and form not at all like that of a frog. "I was bewitched, and had to stay in the shape of a frog until a kind princess became my true friend," he told her. "I was not kind," said the princess, feeling ashamed. But the prince already loved her very much indeed, and that was why they married and lived happily ever afterwards. Then you have a picture of the frog prince turned back into a prince. And that is the end of the story of the frog prince in this adaptation with the beautiful illustrations. Now, I know it's fairly short, but some fairy tales are like that. And as I have proven, the True Love's Kiss. And there go my speakers. My speakers are so chaotic. But yes. But as I mentioned before, the True Love's Kiss is something that some fairy tales do have, but not all of them, including the Frog Prince, where it's not a kiss that turns him back into a prince. Nope. In order to be turned back into a prince, he has to be thrown across the room and hit a wall, just casually thrown across the room. That's what breaks the curse. Adam Gidwitz, using the Frog Prince as inspiration for his second book, In a Glass Grimly, he also explains the bizarre concept of it. That one, the kiss is ridiculous, and two, being thrown across the room, breaking the curse. He says it's like, that doesn't make sense. It's like you get thrown across the room and then you want to marry the person who threw you across the room. It doesn't make sense. I mean, I can kind of agree with him on that. I wouldn't want to be thrown across the room. For that matter, I don't think anyone could throw me across the room. But I mean, each to their own. But yeah, that's the story of the Frog Prince. Once again, one of the morals being beauty is skin deep, and of course the second moral being, if you make a promise, you ought to keep it. Because the princess did promise to be the frog's friend, though she didn't want to fulfill her promise. She did so, and begrudgingly, And when she realized that she had, once the curse was broken, she realized that she had been unkind. And yet the prince was merciful and he forgave her. And he did love her. So those are two of the big morals I can pull away from the story of the Frog Prince. And of course there are many other adaptations, and there's more Animal Bridegroom stories out there. I even have a collection of Animal Bridegroom and Animal Bride stories. And I might give them all a read when I get the chance, but yeah. I find it interesting, though, the use of animal in fairy tale. Sorry, I got a cuticle or a hangnail. Okay, thank you. But yeah, that was the story, and thank you all for coming. And I hope you guys enjoyed the story. And yeah, I have some more plans for the ASMR channel, and I got some more stories on the way, one of which I'm definitely excited to read. And yeah, I hope you all have a very good day. I hope you all have a very good day, and you get some water, you eat a good meal, and you spend time with those who love and care about you. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!